All right, folks, Friday main event, week 2. We're ready to roll, E.T. We're at Shelbyville High School. Marshall County headed over. Should be a ball game over here.
I think so. It's a big week all across the state. A lot of big matchups for a week 2.
It's going to be tough to pick games tonight, brother. There's a whole lot of them that could go either way. But there was a big game over in East Tennessee last night involving a good friend of ours, Coach Rob Black. We've got him on with us. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. How y'all doing?
We are doing fantastic, man. The weather's really nice over here. I think when I talked to you last week, you mentioned that you saw our preseason show with our top 10, didn't you?
We did see that, yes, sir.
And, of course, we had Fulton Falcons there at number 1. How do you think this team's going to compare with some of those previous champions you've had?
Well, I think we're on the right track, and we've had some good ones in the past, and we feel like we've got a really good one right now. We've still got a little rust on us, and if we can get that knocked off, I think we'll have a chance.
Hey, Coach, this is Lee T. We obviously, we feel like your Falcon squad's going to be strong this year, especially the big reason for that is your returning your quarterback, Xavier Malone. You had that big win last night, as we just alluded to, against Knox Central. How did Xavier look in that game?
Had a good game. Threw 2 touchdown passes, and he was rusty in a couple of areas, but overall, good production out of him out of that night, especially it being the first night.
Right.
That defense was what impressed me, Coach. I didn't catch the first half, but I flipped it over. I think it was 3-0 there at halftime. According to the announcers, they just wasn't able to move the ball at all against you guys. I know I think they had 5 turnovers in week 1 against Tennessee, but that's a pretty darn good Central team, isn't it?
It is a good team. I tell you, they're a good football team. Like I said, the turnovers killed them in that first week, but again, I thought our defense played really well. In fact, that's who kept us in the game last night. Like you said, it was 3-0 at halftime, and their 3 came off of us fumbling a snap on a punt. But they had a total of 16 yards at halftime. Our defense was bowling up pretty good.
Wow.
Sounds like it.
Mike Motor and Lee T talking Fulton Falcon football with that's a tongue twister there.
Fulton Falcon football.
With head coach Rob Black.
Hey, Coach, obviously Malone has a lot of weapons around him. With seniors Fenderson and McKinney returning at wide receiver, and Page, Thomas, and Anderson on the ground attack for you. If there was a weakness in your offense, where do you see it, and what do you think needs improving?
Yeah, I think right now we're a little bit undersized up front, and so we do a pretty good job in pass protection. We've got to get a little bit better in the run game as far as coming off the football, and so we've tried to change a few things where we're trying to create good blocking angles, for our up front people, and we'll get better at it. Those guys are working really hard, and we're so much better up front right now than we were last year just because we returned all those guys. So again, if we'll just continue to work in the run game as far as coming off the ball and opening some things up, we feel like we got some backs that can get some things done in the run game.
And, Coach, we talked about that defense. I think in 2013 you had 7 shutouts, 5 shutouts in 2014, some of those great teams you've had. Even last year, I think only, if I remember right, Maryville Catholic and Oak Ridge were the only teams that were able to put 14 points up. Do you think this 2018 defense will be as dominating, with all the leaders back on that side of the ball?
I think so, and I think what we've got going in our favor right now is we've got a little bit more depth, so, going into this year. And so a lot of the same guys back from last year defensively, but a few more guys up front that gives us a little bit more depth up front. So really liked what I saw out of that group last night.
We're talking to Falcon football head coach Rob Black here on the Friday main event.
Coach, despite having really good teams the past 2 years, you ended up a little bit short, not winning the region title. You suffered a loss, your only region loss last year to Oak Ridge, and that game was on week 11, and it's week 11 again this year. I know it's early in the season right now, Coach, but do you expect that game probably to be for the region title again?
Well, I think most people do. We've got some pretty good people in our region, and we feel like we got to buckle up every week. But It could come down to that again. And Oak Ridge has got another good football team, and like us, they're really good defensively. So there's a good chance. And I like that. I like going into that final week 11, and that was fun going into that last year, playing for a region championship the last night of the regular season, and so there's a good chance that could happen again. At least I hope it does.
Well, Coach, not only have you got a really good Oak Ridge team and a good West team there that you got to contend with in the region, but you get to the playoffs that first, second round. You got Catholic, you got Ray County, a couple of really good teams over on the other side of that quad. Do you think that quad 2 is probably the toughest quad to escape, if you want to contend for a 5A title?
Yeah, I think if you look at it on paper right now, it looks that way. I mean, there's some really good guys, like you said, in that quad. And, I think a lot of people that you could put on paper and look and see some pretty good matchups. Some of those where you go into the game not having a clue who's going to win that one, So those are always fun and always tough when it comes playoff time.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys scrimmaged Kane Ballard's Greenville squad back during the preseason. You expect Greenville to probably do it again in 4A?
Well, I tell you what, they were awfully impressive. I mean, we left that scrimmage and it was a good one for both of us.
Right.
I thought a really good scrimmage for both of us. But you come back and watch film, and man, they're explosive and they're big and they're strong and they got big receivers and then I can't say enough about their quarterback. He's obviously a coach's son and plays through his dad's mind. So they're pretty dang impressive, and I don't think there's any doubt that they'll have a chance to be there repeating again this year.
You mentioned a coach's son.
Yeah, that's
probably
exactly, wasn't it?
Probably the favorite photo I've ever taken while I've been up there in Cookville is you and your dad, Bob Black, embracing each other after one of those trophy presentations. How's the old Hall of Famer doing now?
Oh, he's great. He's still coaching our offensive line. He's 75 years old.
Wow.
He still loves it. And
dude, that's awesome.
He don't have to do anything during the day but think about football. And then come 2 o'clock, he rolls in here and he's ready to roll his sleeves up and go to work. So he still loves it. I hope I can do what he can do when I'm that age.
I hear you, Coach. Well, Coach, I won't hold you up, buddy. Lee and I, we talk about it. Matter of fact, we talked about it in that preview show. We always enjoy talking to you up there in Cookville. You always take the time to talk to us, and
right.
We appreciate that. And hopefully we talk to you up there this year to be on the field instead of on the sideline.
Yeah, I hope I have to run over on the track after a game and speak to you guys. But it's always a pleasure to see you guys. And obviously I appreciate everybody that does something for high school football because I think it's the greatest and the most pure form of football there is. And so I love it. And so when people like you guys take football to heart, high school football in the state of Tennessee, I appreciate you guys, and it's always a joy to spend time with you.
Great, Coach, and good luck to you this year, buddy, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again before the season's up.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Lee. That's head coach Rob Black, and
class act as always.
And everybody that's watching this show that's followed us over the years, he's one of our favorite guys. He's just a stand-up guy. He always takes the time for us. I could call him midweek if I got a question, and he's always answered the phone. There's a lot of them that won't. So, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, the guy's just down to earth, and I'll tell you something else, too. His kids love him.
They do.
Players love him.
Yeah, and it showed last night in that game we watched last night. A lot of cramping. I don't know if you saw that. Well, you said you didn't get to see the feed, but there was a whole lot of cramping, and you had. It's funny. Coach Black beat the trainers out to the field every time. He's out there. He's got them on the ground, got them feet up in the air, stretching them out, and that to me, a lot of head coaches aren't that involved with the kids, on a personal level, and that really showed. And we talked about, they've got Powell coming up this coming week, Lee, and Powell. Whew, man, they've looked really impressive. That's a dangerous game, and one thing I saw a couple of people mentioned that watched the game last night, Lee, they couldn't kick the ball. They had a 4th and 10, I believe, on the 13-yard line, down 3-0, and had to go for it because they weren't confident in being able to kick that short field goal. And I think that's an area they're going to have to address.
Right, I would agree, man. Looking at Fulton's schedule though, out of region play, he's got some. That's one thing I like too. He don't duck.
No.
Man, they go after it. They playing some teams every week.
They got Maryville on the 21st.
Maryville, Carter, Carnes, Austin East, West, Oak Ridge. Some of these are region games, but I mean that's murderer's row right there. You make it through that and you get into the playoffs, you're gonna be prepared.
Yep, no doubt. All right, folks, that is the first segment in the books, and hopefully it was better than our first segment last week. We're going to take a quick break right now, Lee. We'll head over to the phone lines and get Coach Marty Wheeler of Covington on with us.
Go
we'll be
one
back.
end to the other.
Yeah, that's right. Be back here to this. Hello, folks. I hope you're enjoying week 2 of the Friday Main Event live stream. Week 1, we had a few issues, as some of you, hopefully not many of you know, we had our problems week 1, but you know, all in all, we learned a lot. I guess that's the main thing, and we're going to continue to learn things as we go through this process. Lee and I were new to this. You got a couple of radio guys. I've been doing radio for 8 years. This is my first venture into YouTube, so I'm learning a lot about this streaming, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll have it down, I'm thinking. But got a great show for you guys. We're starting off Rob Black, Fulton's head coach, one of very few coaches that have won 3 consecutive state titles. Always enjoy talking to Coach Black. We'll have him on to start the show, followed by Marty Wheeler, Covington's head coach, won the state title last year, one of my favorite guys. Coach Wheeler and I, we really enjoy picking at each other. I think you guys will pick up on that during the show. Third segment, we will have Justin Palmer, Shelbyville's head coach. We are, by the way, at Shelbyville, as I'm sure you've already heard during the show. Shelbyville, Marshall County. This should be a heck of a ball game, worth thinking anyway. Marshall County came very close to knocking off Cane Ridge last week. They carried that game to overtime, so I expect this to be quite a good game tonight with Shelbyville, who knocked Tullahoma off last week rather convincingly. So, again, a great show. We'll finish off the coaches' interviews with Thomas Osteen. I'm not sure if that'll be 5:15 or 5:30. It's going to depend on when the bus gets here. Shelbyville in the middle of the walking horse show right now, as you know, so traffic is a monster to get through. But great show. We'll be talking big games the second half of the show, the second hour of the show. So I think we've got a great show for you guys. If everything goes as smooth as we're hoping it does, it should be great. It's brought to you, as it is every week, CoachT.com. If you're not a Coach T Plus member, go to CoachT.com on the home screen. All the information you need to become a Plus member, and you determine how much it costs. You pay Coach T what you think this website is worth to you. First time they've ever done that in the history of the website. I think it's a great thing. So go to CoachT.com, check them out. I think you'll enjoy it. Mike Mulder and Lee Teat. This is the Friday Main Event, and we'll return you guys to the show. All right, Lee Teat, we are back, and I think we had a good first segment. I didn't get any nasty texts saying, "Hey, we can't hear the coaches," so hopefully it all went good. Lee Teat, Mike Mulder here, Friday Main Event, and we are at Shelbyville High School as they're getting ready to take on a Marshall County team, a really solid 4A squad against a 5A Shelbyville team. Lee, I think it's going to be a good ball game.
I think so. I think there'll be some points put up.
I think there will too. There'll be a lot of points tonight. Right. So the weather's great. Matter of fact, I'm guessing the weather's good statewide. We got an East Tennessee report. Let's go to our good buddy Marty Wheeler, Covington Chargers head coach. Coach Wheeler, how's the weather over your way, buddy?
It's really nice. It's perfect night for football. Not too hot. Heat index, I think, not an issue. It should be the kind of night that should bring out a lot of people.
And, Coach, last time we saw you, I think you was at that title game there against Alcoa. This year, you guys become the hunted. You were the hunters last year. You kind of got that bullseye on your back after that big season. How different was the off season for your Chargers this year, knowing the expectations are so much higher? Coach? Did we lose him, Lee?
He hung up on us. No,
let me see what happened here. We may have lost him. Let me see. We'll get him back. I'm sorry. I think that might have been him. I don't think that was us. This is good. This is good live right here.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, buddy.
I'm sorry about that, Mike. I lost you somehow.
Whew. Hey, look, we'll just, for the sake of our viewers, we'll just say that was on your end. How's that sound? Now, I want to ask you, Coach. I don't know how much you heard, but you guys got, you went from being the hunted to the hunters to being the hunted. Expectations are high. How much different was the off season, knowing the expectations are so much higher this year?
It's a great point you make. I just talked to our team about that pretty much the entire preseason camp, about the difference in being the hunter and the hunted. I mean, in West Tennessee, I'm sure as over where you guys are from, a lot of these guys, like to hunt. I know orange is a really big color.
I feel a Vol joke coming here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I mean, you got Tennessee. The Vols, of course, is their color. Most everybody around here has that color in their closet, either for being a Vol fan or a hunter. And then, of course, most Justice Centers carry that color. But
I told you, didn't I?
But I mean, I think our guys. I used to answer your question. I used a metaphor or analogy. I use it as they do understand hunting. I mean, just think about when you go hunting and you're the hunter, and then think about whatever it is you are hunting and how they have to, they have to be on the move. They have to constantly.
They're the prey. They're the prey this year, aren't they?
Absolutely, and so it's a big difference. To answer your question, Mike, it's a big difference, but it's a difference that I think is a challenge that you welcome as a coaching staff. I think you hope your players embrace it, and the bottom line is that they need to understand the importance of being the hunted, because once you let your guard down or lose focus, then you get caught.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you went into your first game against Mumford pretty focused. I know last year that was your only loss in the regular season. You were up 48-0 at halftime, beating the brakes off of them. How big was that for this group to avenge that loss and get you fired up and rolling into the season this way?
I think it was a nice way to start the season. I think we had some guys that really felt like we didn't play very well. The previous year, and we did lose 18 seniors, but we have a lot of guys back in positions, especially skill positions and a few linemen, but mostly at the skill position that were in that game. And I don't think, they felt like they played very well at all, and they wanted to, I think, make a statement to, not necessarily statewide, but to make a statement to the people that live in this area that that maybe had doubts of whether or not we could beat a team that's a little bit bigger than us. But as I said before, we don't get caught up in classifications. We get caught up in execution and how well we play. If we play well and things don't go our way, Lee, then we can deal with that. We'll find a way to get better and we'll move forward. It's when you don't perform and you beat yourself, it's when that's when you lose sleep.
We're talking to Charger football head coach Marty Wheeler. I got myself tongue twisted. I was waiting on that Fulton tongue twister. Charger, Covington Charger. Well, I didn't even realize I did that. Every team I got tonight, I think the first letter in the. Anyway, I'm off to Marty Wheeler with us on Friday, baby. Coach, how big is it for you guys to have? You talked about, you kind of alluded to the fact you've got seniors in the right spots. You got Sterling Lomax, the senior quarterback. I think he's a 4-year starter now. How big of an advantage? You kind of got a coach in the huddle there. How big an advantage is that for you?
Huge. It's a huge advantage for us. I mean, I can remember talking to you guys in the playoffs back in 2015 when he was a freshman, getting ready to play Milan. And that seems like a long time ago, to be honest with you. And he has got so much experience under his belt for the past 3 years, being able to play 15 games last year. I think he's another coach on the field. He knows what he's done probably the best of anything, Mike, is he's been able to control his emotions somewhat better. He still gets it reminds me of he's a Brett Favre type guy. He wears his feelings on his shoulders, but I think what he's done, he still gets all fired up and plays the game with enthusiasm, which is what I want. I never want to take the enthusiasm away from a kid. But what I think he's really improved the most would be when he does make a mistake, I think he's able to put that behind him much quicker now, and he bounces back and understands that plays like that will happen, and we got to move forward. So I'm really excited about watching and seeing him progress into that type of a quarterback for us. And man, I'm hoping I'm one of his biggest fans. I'm pulling for him to have a great senior year, and because I think he deserves it. So, but so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, not only do you have Lomax back at the quarterback spot, but you've also got one of the best backs in the state in Keyshawn Grant. Gant,
right.
Keyshawn Gant.
Yeah.
2,000 yards, 23 TDs last year. How's he looking, and does he have any college offers yet?
He is. He looks the same. I mean, he looks as good, if not better. As far as what he's done, is he's humble. Keyshawn had a great breakout year last year. And he's not going to sneak up on anybody this year. People we play understand that. Well, they might have not knew exactly who he was at the beginning of the ball game last year. I mean, they did before it was over, I think.
Yes, sir, I believe you.
Now he's had a lot of awards that he received, rightfully, deservingly so. But I mean, it's always a little more of a challenge when people know. As we said, I think it's just the best way to put it. Like Mike said earlier, I mean, he's now being the hunted,
right?
And so. But, I mean, he's off to a good start. He had a great night against Mumford for the time that he played. He didn't play very much. I think he got in the end zone a couple times. But he's getting ready to carry a bulk of the load for sure as we move forward. We just want him to stay healthy. Of course, we got Kadarius Page back as well, the tailback. And he had
over 1,000 yards, didn't he?
He did. He had right at 1,300 yards last year.
Right.
He had a big night as well, and I mean, all three of those guys have been in the backfield together now. For the better part of 3 years.
What was that stud you had in your secondary?
Quentin Booker.
Oh man,
Booker.
That kid looked good, man. He was probably one of my favorite players to watch up there last year. You'll miss him for sure.
Absolutely. That's the thing. That's the thing that you can't. He kind of played the position of safety the way I want a safety to play, and we've had some guys do that. Just been a while, and man, I would have loved to have had him for another year, but we got some younger guys in the secondary. We got a guy wearing number 7, like he did last year, but he don't look like him. All right, but now he can go. He's a game changer. It's a name that you might want to remember. The kid's name is Marcus Hayes. He's a sophomore.
Got it.
He's the fastest guy on the field when we line up to play for us. He's our fastest, and he's a game changer in the kicking game, as well as he'll touch the ball on offense. Several times throughout the night according to the game plan, and he starts at safety for us. So. It doesn't look anything like last year's number 7, but hopefully we're going to get similar results.
You guys, I think you pitched a shutout with your ones in last week. They forced 2 fumbles. I think you actually blocked a punt that resulted in another score. Take a minute to talk about that defense as a whole.
I think it's first off, everybody got caught up in the fact we scored 55 points. And the thing is that the defense set up the majority of those points. But when you look at the stats. Yeah, we didn't play 4 quarters, but still, it just seemed like when you see all those points, you're gonna have all these stats, and what it was our defense setting us up with short fields by forcing turnovers and getting 3 and outs. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was really pleasantly surprised at the intensity our defense played with, the quickness, the overall quickness of the unit. We seemed to be considerably quicker than them off the ball. More explosive, and really could get them before they got going. Made a lot of plays from behind, running guys down behind in the backfield from behind. Meanwhile, our defensive coaches, Coach Detroit, Coach Payne, Coach Nix, the whole staff, Coach Gaines and Goforth did a great job preparing them game plan wise. I mean, we seem to be on top of our game defensively better than we have been pretty much in the start of the season, the first game, and maybe the entire time I've been back here. So we're very excited about that. But we're we got another challenge tonight, Mike. We're a total different challenge. You know, Mumford was a running team,
right?
And they like to run the option and that kind of stuff. And now we're playing a team that's straight spread. You know, they're gonna be spread out everywhere. They like to throw it around all over the place, and then they mix some zone read and stuff like that in. So it's been from one extreme to the other. So you know, as high school kids, who knows what's going to happen tonight? I hope they play. If they just play with that intensity, we'll be okay.
Mike Mulder and Lee Teat talking with Covington Charger head coach Marty Wheeler here on the Friday main event.
Coach Wheeler, last year, Region 7 came down to a dogfight between you guys and Milan. You know, Coach Morris left Milan, and Coach Pettigrew's taking over that program down there. What kind of stamp do you think Coach Pettigrew is going to put on it, and do you think it'll be any different than what Coach Morris did?
You know, I'll be honest with you, Coach Morris. I got to know Coach Morris fairly well throughout the years, going against each other. Man, just a great coach, you know, unbelievable coach that had been there for a long time. And so I think that no matter, and they promoted from within, which I can understand them doing. So I would say that there will be some similarities, absolutely. I would think there will be a lot of similarities in the two styles. I would assume. I haven't seen any of it, but I'm sure that Coach Pettigrew will also, you know, put his own stamp on the program and have his own you know, ideas of how he might want to do some things a little differently. Yeah, you know, I would imagine that's going to take place as well. But, you know, at the end of the day, Milan is rich in tradition. They have a long history of success. And, you know, probably one of the biggest things that you're right, it was a dogfight last year. We took a chance. You know, we had to play them on the road in the regular season, and they're really tough to beat up there. With time you count them and the referees and everybody else, it's really hard to beat
Now, coach.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but I mean, I don't get fined for that, so I'm all right. But no, I'm kidding. Milan's a hard place to win. It really is. It's they won a lot of games there in a row. I mean, I think they went 5, 6, 7 years maybe without losing a home game. So they have a long history tradition, and I'm sure that when they come down here in a few weeks, that there will be a dogfight. They'll be ready to get after it. I'm sure they got some, you know, they're definitely going to be the hunter. And we're going to be the hunter because we were able to win a region championship last year in a close game with them, and actually had to play them again in another close game, and was able to get out of that one. Corn, what kind of time frame you talking about? You talking about fan time frame or coaching time frame? Because as a coach, I can tell you the time frame's a little bit long. The fan, but I'm gonna tell you what he's gonna do. You can bet he's gonna bring it every day. He goes out there. He is a guy with a motor that can coach football and loves football.
Had a lot of kids from Shelbyville headed that way, headed out to Bell Buckle War Trace to join that Cascade team back when we were good. And I don't know if some of the talent at Cascade has migrated back this way. I'm not real sure what the issue is, but Shelbyville looks pretty good, man. I didn't watch the Tullahoma game last week, but I got to listen to it on the radio.
Right,
and,
I did too.
And I think they're good to go, man. That defense come alive second half. We're going to get into this game a little bit more later on, but I think I just got a message from Coach Palmer. He's on the way, Lee. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go ahead right now and take a break and get him mic'd up, and we'll be back with Shelbyville head coach Justin Palmer. Folks, I hope you're enjoying week 2 of the Friday main event live stream. Week 1, we had a few issues, as some of you, hopefully not many of you know, we had our problems week 1, but you know, all in all, we learned a lot. I guess that's the main thing, and we're going to continue to learn things as we go through this process. Lee and I were new to this. You got a couple of radio guys. I've been doing radio for 8 years. This is my first venture into YouTube. I'm learning a lot about this streaming, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll have it down, I'm thinking. But got a great show for you guys. We're starting off Rob Black, Fulton's head coach, one of very few coaches that have won 3 consecutive state titles. Always enjoy talking to Coach Black. We'll have him on to start the show, followed by Marty Wheeler, Covington's head coach, won the state title last year. One of my favorite guys, Coach Wheeler and I, we really enjoy picking at each other. I think you guys will pick up on during the show. Third segment, we will have Justin Palmer, Shelbyville's head coach. We are, by the way, at Shelbyville, as I'm sure you've already heard during the show. Shelbyville, Marshall County. This should be a heck of a ball game, worth thinking anyway. Marshall County came very close to knocking off Cane Ridge last week. They carried that game to overtime, so I expect this to be quite a good game tonight with Shelbyville, who knocked Tullahoma off last week rather convincingly. So again, a great show. We'll finish off the coaches' interviews with Thomas Osteen. I'm not sure if that'll be 5:15 or 5:30. It's going to depend on when the bus gets here. Shelbyville in the middle of the walking horse show right now, as you know, so traffic is a monster to get through. But great show. We'll be talking big games the second half of the show, the second hour of the show. So I think we've got a great show for you guys. If everything goes as smooth as we're hoping it does, it should be great. It's brought to you, as it is every week, CoachT.com. If you're not a Coach T Plus member, go to CoachT.com on the home screen. All the information you need to become a Plus member, and you determine how much it costs. You pay Coach T what you think this website is worth to you. First time they've ever done that in the history of the website. I think it's a great thing. So go to CoachT.com, check them out. I think you'll enjoy it. Mike Mulder and Lee Teat. This is the Friday Main Event, and we'll return you guys to the show. All right, back here, Friday Main Event, Mike Mulder, Lee Teat. We got head coach Justin Palmer on with us. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Been kind of hectic around here right now. Just got into our brand new field house yesterday, so that's very exciting. But at the same time, we're moving stuff over from the gym where our locker room and offices were over out to the field house. And like I said,
he's not shorter than us either. We got him in a short chair. He was worried about. He's 6'1". He's taller than me and Lee, so
at least 6.5. So give me the 6.
So y'all been pretty busy, huh?
Yeah, it's hectic, and we keep forgetting stuff that's over there, and we want the players to be able to come out of the field house tonight.
Right.
So they moved all their stuff, which their stuff's easy. They don't have cameras and headsets and printers and computers and all that stuff that we have. They just got to make sure they got their cleats and their shoulder pads and helmets. But it's been hectic, but we're excited to finally be in there. And what a night! A brand new field house, first home game. Just playing a really good opponent too.
Yes,
so we're looking forward to tonight.
Well, Coach, last week you had a big win over rival Tullahoma. I think that the same Tullahoma team come in here last year on a 21-game losing streak, beat you guys in your home opener. I know it's not a region game, but that had to be a huge win for you guys in that rivalry.
Absolutely. Anytime you win the first game of the season, that's a big win, and beating our rival is important to this community. It's just good to get off on the right foot to start the season by beating them over there at their place.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, with so much focus being there on Grayson, you had to be happy with Caleb Marsh's performance last week with 215 yards on 20-something carries. If you can get him going tonight and for the rest of the season, you got to be happy about that, right?
Oh, that was huge, and that's what we were missing last year.
Yeah.
We had no run game at all, and even being here as an assistant coach, being here as a head coach in 2016, we always had a good run game. We've had good quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but we had people that complemented them and complemented the passing game by being able to run it. And last year, we just couldn't. Our offensive line struggled in run blocking, but they were phenomenal at pass blocking. I mean, to throw for that many yards.
Right.
Grayson rarely had pressure on him. And you know, we just couldn't put it together. But I think, you know, some improvement on the offensive line, and we got a new offensive line coach in here, in Justin Burham, and he's done a really good job. And they were challenged all offseason. I mean, they knew, and we let them know in the weight room that, you know, they're soft and we couldn't run the ball because of that. And they accepted the challenge.
Right.
You know, they didn't take it as an insult, or it wasn't personal. You know, they wanted to get better, and they have. And that's taken a lot of pressure off of Grayson. And I think for us to continue to win games, we got to be able to run the ball. Throwing the ball 50 times a game is going to result in shootouts, and those are 50-50. Shootouts are going to go, you know, and be a coin flip at the end, and you don't want that.
Right.
We're joined with Shelbyville head coach Justin Palmer here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, I have intentionally not brought this up yet. I wanted to wait till we had you on. Huge loss for the Shelbyville family this week is Rusty Reed, the play-by-play guy for the Shelbyville Eagles for years. I don't even know how long he's been doing it. How has that affected you guys this week preparing for this?
It's been tough, and you know, the players really didn't know Rusty, and just what I told them was, you know, you may not have known him, but I promise you he knew who you were.
Absolutely.
He knew how much you weighed, how tall you were, what number you were, position, what grade. He knew everything about you. And, you know, they're playing, so obviously they're not listening to what he's doing. But, you know, the impact that he had on our football program and just the whole athletic department in general here at the school is something that can never be replaced. And he's a great guy. I always look forward to talking with him in our pregame interviews. And you know, I was sitting there yesterday waiting on him to come in. You know, it's just the routine. I mean, that was our thing, and he'd always leave his phone or leave his Mountain Dew in my office, and then I'd have to run out there and get him and have him come back in and get it. And
he was a good one.
He was, and his family's they're a great bunch of people, and we're going to do what we can to honor him. And
good.
Our football program's been through a lot this year. We've had a coach lose a brother who was going to be a senior in high school from Indiana. We lost our manager, who a long-time guy who had been doing it, who was a 19-year-old Spoonie. And then back in the spring, we lost one of our freshman coaches, Kenny Blint. So
tough year for
it has been a tough year, but the kids have handled it well, and you know, I think it's preparing them for life. So we're hoping to honor all of those people every night when we take the field.
Let's get back to football talk, Lee.
Coach, last year's big-time receiver was Avery Brown. This year, it looks like Arius Trice and Malachi Burns are taking his place, but I think maybe you're more dangerous now that you got two guys that can do this.
Right. Yeah, I think last year we had a really good group of receivers, and that has been the question. Everybody I've talked to who's Grayson going to throw it to? You lost all four of those guys. And I had a feeling that our receivers were going to be good. And, you know, that not to say we wouldn't miss those guys, but, you know, that we've got guys who can step up and make plays just like our guys did last year. And I think overall we're more consistent this year. You know, our guys last year that we had.
That ground game helps, doesn't it?
Well, that helps. And you know, when last year against Tullahoma, we had 8 drop passes.
That's true.
You know, our receivers made some big plays, but then when you drop 8 balls and 5 of them were on 3rd or 4th down,
that's going to bite you.
That's tough. And I think this group is a little more consistent with catching the ball. They may not be as flashy, but we've got some good guys for Grayson to throw the ball to.
And Coach, you got a really good Marshall County team coming in tonight. I know most people, Lee and I, we thought when they lost Bryce Wallace that was really going to hurt them, but they carried Cane Ridge, a really good 6A team, to overtime last week. I'm sure you've watched some game film. How much different did they look with Malik Thomason running offense there?
Well, everybody that's asked me, well, is Marshall County better or worse this year? What do you think? And that's the word that you just used, different. That's exactly what I've said. I don't think I don't know yet if they're better or if they're worse. They're different. They're still good.
Right.
They're just different. And their offense was way different. I mean, they only threw 9 passes. Several of them came either on that last drive or in overtime when they had to throw it.
I got you.
Right.
So I think 4 or 5 of their 9 passes came,
Okay.
with less than a minute and then in overtime. So he's a very good player, and
Good athlete, isn't he?
He's a good athlete, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback. He's got some ability to throw the ball. He threw some really nice passes, but then he threw some where it looked like he's a young quarterback.
Right.
I think he's going to be really good by the end of the year. They'll probably compete to win their region with him at quarterback, no doubt. I just hope that he waits till after tonight. And then after that, man, you start jumping in that direction. So he's going to be fine, though.
I like it.
Coach, we've been talking about offense, but you got 9 returning starters there on D. We had talked earlier about your defense. I thought that maybe last year you had a hard time stopping some people. You could score on the inside.
Well, he did. He knows that.
Yeah, had a little bit of hard time stopping some people. But, hey, man, last week you come out and pitch a shutout in the second half, put up 21 unanswered points. You got to be ecstatic about that.
Yeah, well, we haven't been good on defense in a while. And, I'm an offensive guy, but I mean, I want the defense to play well, and I've challenged our defensive players just like we challenged the offensive line. I think those were the 2 biggest areas to improve, were the run game and defense as a whole. And, I was really happy with the effort after the first quarter last week. I didn't think that the first quarter we played as well as we could on defense, but part of the reason is we haven't had any consistency in the coaching staff on that side of the ball.
That's
and
true.
Now Glenn Tidwell, who's been the defensive coordinator, is in year 2. I think that's making a big difference.
Right.
Our linebacker coach, Brody Quick, is back, for a second year. Our DB coach is back for a second year. And we just haven't had that. And to have some consistency, that makes a huge difference in high school football.
That reminds me last year when we first come over here, first game Tullahoma, and I know you guys, at least some of the coaches told me, I think anyway, I'm getting kind of old, you didn't have anybody going 2-way last year to start the season. But, that's hard to do, especially, 5A, 4A, because you got to have, your better players on the field. Have you guys got more kids going both ways this year?
Yeah, we had more depth last year because we had a big senior class. We've got a small senior class right now.
Right.
And so we do have more guys going both ways. We've got 2 linemen, a safety, and a corner.
Okay.
So we've got 4 guys that start both ways, and then we rotate other guys in there. But, I think the years where you can do it, you do it. And this year's not one of those years. And we've got to sub them out, and other people have to play. But you got to have those guys that you're going to go to.
You want them on the field as much as you can.
That's right.
Yeah.
We've been lucky. The weather hadn't been too hot. It wasn't bad last week. It's not bad tonight, and that helps when you got guys going both ways.
Right.
Well, Coach, I don't want to hold you up, buddy. I know you guys probably got a lot to do with are you dedicating the facilities tonight, or?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to have a moment of silence for Rusty. The field house, as far as that goes, we'll do all that on homecoming week.
Okay.
And have a big ribbon cutting ceremony and invite people to come in and look at it. But
Good.
I think there's going to be a moment of silence for the ones that our program's lost, Rusty, Spoonie, Coach Blint, and Coach Quick's brother, Jaden. So it's, like I said, a lot of people to play for, a lot of people to honor as we play, and we're going to keep that in mind tonight as we play against Marshall County.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, we appreciate it, buddy. We won't hold you up anymore. I appreciate you letting us sit up over here and do this.
Yes, sir.
We always enjoy coming over here and watching football. And, man, your facilities look awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think better than this since I've been coming over here.
I'll give a little credit to my dad. He does a good job on the field. We just got the track redone, so all this stuff is new. It looks a lot different right now, and
even the bathrooms look good.
Yeah,
man.
The bathrooms have been redone. Preferred Glass, Jeff Pitts did that, donated all that time and labor and materials.
I know Jeff,
so
good dude.
We got a lot of good people here in Shelbyville that have helped us turn this place
that's what
into
it takes,
a better
isn't it?
looking
Yeah, that's what it
facility.
takes.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck
y'all.
tonight.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, Lee. We'll go ahead and we'll get a break in here right now, and I think Coach Osteen's gonna come over here and join us in a little bit. Matter of fact, if you see Osteen, send him over here. He's supposed to be coming. Thanks, Coach. All right, that was Coach Justin Palmer. Man, Lee, he has done a really good job with this facility. I mean, I know you said you hadn't been over here before, but I mean, it didn't used to look like this, brother.
Man, his field looks great. His stands are looking good. Everything's got a fresh coat of paint. He's got to be super ecstatic about his new field house.
Yeah, and you have a little info about that.
I'd like to put a big shout out. I got a buddy of mine, Keith Bellafon, who's a businessman here in town in Shelbyville, and Goggin Warehousing and Titan Transfer actually put up about $100,000 for that to help them get into that. They've been trying to get this done for a long time, and a lot of business owners in the community contributed, but big shout out to Goggin Warehousing and Titan Transfer and Philip Edwards and Tommy Hodges. They kind of spearheaded that for those two companies, the donation. So shout out to you guys. I know these kids over here at Shelbyville are ecstatic.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It looks good. Hadn't had a chance to go in there and check it out yet.
But state of the art.
We'll have to head over and do that after we get done with the show, no doubt. I think he said they're going to have an open house homecoming, so fans may want to pencil that in, try to get over here for that one, and check out the new facilities for the Shelbyville Golden Eagles. Program on the rise, Lee T.
Hey, he's got it going.
He's got it going.
Good.
He's got a good
That's
ball
club. Kids like.
Got a good ball club. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. I think there's going to be a lot of points tonight.
I think so too.
Yeah, two really good offenses. We'll see. Who knows? But Mike Mulder and Lee Teague. Lee, let's take a break right here, and we'll see if we can round up Coach Thomas Osteen.
Sounds good.
Hello, folks. I hope you're enjoying Week 2 of the Friday Main Event live stream. Week 1, we had a few issues, as some of you, hopefully not many of you know, we had our problems Week 1, but, all in all, we learned a lot. I guess that's the main thing, and we're going to continue to learn things as we go through this process. Lee and I were new to this. You got a couple of radio guys. I've been doing radio for 8 years. This is my first venture into YouTube, so I'm learning a lot about this streaming, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll have it down, I'm thinking. But got a great show for you guys. We're starting off Rob Black, Fulton's head coach, one of very few coaches that have won 3 consecutive state titles. Always enjoy talking to Coach Black. We'll have him on to start the show, followed by Marty Wheeler, Covington's head coach, won the state title last year, one of my favorite guys. Coach Wheeler and I, we really enjoy picking at each other. I think you guys will pick up on that during the show. Third segment, we will have Justin Palmer, Shelbyville's head coach. We are, by the way, at Shelbyville, as I'm sure you've already heard during the show. Shelbyville, Marshall County. This should be a heck of a ball game, worth thinking anyway. Marshall County came very close to knocking off Cane Ridge last week. They secured that game to overtime, so I expect this to be quite a good game tonight with Shelbyville, who knocked Tullahoma off last week rather convincingly. So, again, a great show. We'll finish off the coaches' interviews with Thomas Osteen. I'm not sure if that'll be 5:15 or 5:30. It's going to depend on when the bus gets here. Shelbyville in the middle of the walking horse show right now, as you know, so traffic is a monster to get through. But great show. We'll be talking big games the second half of the show, the second hour of the show. So I think we've got a great show for you guys. If everything goes as smooth as we're hoping it does, it should be great. It's brought to you, as it is every week, CoachT.com. If you're not a Coach T Plus member, go to CoachT.com on the home screen. All the information you need to become a Plus member, and you determine how much it costs. You pay Coach T what you think this website is worth to you. First time they've ever done that in the history of the website. I think it's a great thing. So go to CoachT.com, check them out. I think you'll enjoy it. Mike Mulder and Lee Teat, this is the Friday Man event, and we'll return you guys to the show. All right, back here on the Friday Man event, Lee Teat. Good show so far. We started things out with Rob Black over at Fulton. Coach Black, awesome dude. I love Coach Black.
Yes, sir.
This was, I guess this show was kind of some of our favorites, no doubt. Marty Wheeler, I mean, obviously you know how I feel about him. Yeah. He's a card. I love that guy. And then we had Thomas Osteen, one of the better young coaches. Matter of fact, this is going to be a battle between two of the better young coaches in the state tonight, Lee Teat.
I think so. Two of the better, what I consider X's and O's guys.
Yeah.
They're really solid, man. These two guys are real solid. They put a lot of pride, and then, we just got through talking to Coach Palmer about, man, these kids ought to take some pride in this atmosphere and things going on over here, and I think he's trying to instill that. But you're right, two young guys going at it. I like to see that. So
right,
it's gonna be an exciting ball game.
We've got Coach Osteen. I think he said his bus just pulled in, so he's gonna head over here and join us here very shortly. Lee, thought we'll go ahead and jump into the big games on tap for tonight. And I tell you what, dude, I don't want to keep score tonight. there's at least 20 games. It's coin flips, I think, tonight.
I didn't do very well last week, Mike. I might have went 500. But.
Well, the good thing about it is we had so many issues. We set up next to the Independence PA system,
right.
And we didn't know it, guys. I'm sure some of you folks were watching, but it totally drowned it out the last half hour of the show, and I was like, whatever could go wrong did last week. But I think we're set up okay today, Lee. The speakers are on top of the press box on the opposite side of the field, so hopefully that won't drown us out. But we're going to go ahead and start talking about some big games. Oh, that's Coach Thomas Osteen right there. So while we're getting him on, Lee, do you want to talk about any games, or you just want to go ahead and we'll go ahead and mic him up? He's here.
He's rolling up. Mike,
he's rolling up.
He won't get this going and get back to his team.
We won't hold you up too long, partner.
All right.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Coach Osteen, how you doing, man?
Sir, doing good.
Good. We got you in the little chair.
We're good, yeah.
Let's look tall.
That's all right.
We gave Coach Palmer crap about it too.
No problem at all.
We Mike Mulder and Lee Teat. This is a Friday Night event. We've got Marshall County head coach Thomas Osteen on with us. Coach, pretty good ride over. Everything good for you guys?
Yes, sir. Man, it's been a beautiful afternoon, and it feels a little bit cooler out here than it did. Last week, and
I had him muted. Sorry, we got you now.
I got you. No, we had a great ride over, and it's been a nice day. A little humidity's down just a little bit, so we're looking for a fun night of football.
Coach, nobody in the state, including us, gave you guys much of a chance last week. You had 6A Cane Ridge, one of the powerhouses. A lot of people, including Lee and I, think they got a good shot of going back to Cookeville this year. You lose your starting quarterback, a month before the season starts. Trade quarterbacks. You got to be happy, I think, with how the team played last week.
Well, we're sick. We couldn't find a way to pull it out in the end. We took them to overtime and had a chance right there at the end. Just didn't work out. But I'd be lying if I wasn't happy that we fought the whole game against a team really a lot more talented than us.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of one of those weird games that. You felt like we were a bunch of the first half. We were just having to hold on for the floodgates to keep from breaking, and the credit to our kids that we were able to get it to 14. We were just down 14-7 at half. Got the ball back at halftime. Scored twice. We were up 20-14 late in the third. They scored again. We scored about 40 seconds left in regulation and got a 2-point conversion to tie it. We missed an extra point there in the third quarter.
Oh.
If we would have made that extra point, we would have no doubt gone for two in the win there at the end of the game. On their field. But just, it didn't work out that way. But, hopefully, if anything, it gave our guys some confidence that if we can, go to overtime with Kane Ridge, who is unreal talented, that hopefully we can play with anybody.
All right.
Coach, obviously I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Bryce leaving late in the preseason, I'm sure that was a shock. But hey, man, Malik Thompson coming in, I think maybe he gives you a little bit more of a dual threat.
Maybe more dangerous now.
More dangerous.
Or less predictable.
Less predictable. I don't want to take anything away from Bryce. Everybody knows the kid was great, but you may have a little something different.
It's a different dynamic.
It is, and I think if anything now we feel like we know what we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
We really feel like we're younger at all the skill positions than we've ever been, even without Bryce.
Right.
Our goal is going to be to shorten games. We've got more people playing both ways than we ever have, and that's something we're going to have to be battling with too. But Malik, he's been our backup quarterback for the last 2 years, so he's gotten a lot of reps in practice and JV games and those type situations. So he's got some experience playing the position, just hadn't got any varsity football experience at quarterback. And so for a kid last week that's never played a varsity game at quarterback, couldn't be more excited with the way he played. He gave us some explosive plays, 3 for 2 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown, and most importantly, protected the ball and kept our offense on schedule.
Right.
We're talking with Tiger football head coach Thomas Osteen here on the Friday Man event. Coach, of course, you lose Cameron Liggett. I think he was a Mr. Football candidate last season. 1,800 yards rushing, 34 TDs. Now, last week, your quarterback, I think he accounted for 91 of your 146 rushing yards. Who are you expecting to step up tonight, kind of take on part of the responsibilities when you guys run the ball?
Oh man, we're hurting in that area just a little bit. Our starting tailback for the year, Elijah Taylor, got a deep thigh bruise and won't go tonight. So just don't like that.
Right.
But we're tonight as bad as we need to win tonight. It's not a region game for us. We're hoping to get him back next week when we play Tullahoma in our first region game. So that's more important, obviously. That's right. So we'll rely on a scat back type guy, Javorier Rucker. He had a big game last week.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big kickoff return. He caught the touchdown to tie the game.
Okay.
We'll have a senior, Dagan Stacy, who's a linebacker, H-back type kid for us that's going to be playing a good bit of tailback tonight just out of necessity.
Right.
So hopefully those two guys can carry that load for us tonight, including Malik in the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, obviously coming in here facing Shelbyville and Grayson Trammell, and he put up some pretty good numbers on you last year. 400 some yards, I think, passing, and there's 80 combined points in the game. But what you were just talking about, I think a different dynamic on this team this year. You think you're going to be able to limit his possessions tonight, control the clock?
Well, that's definitely our goal. I don't know if we can stop him at all. But
big task,
but he is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
And the sickening thing as a coach, they had 4 great senior receivers last year. You would think they would have dropped off at receiver a little bit. I don't know if they're not better this year with the receivers they've got. They're definitely longer and bigger in a jump ball scenario type things.
Right.
But schematically, the thing that scares me more about them is they're committed to running the ball more this year.
That's right.
And so they're a more complete football team, probably the most complete football team Shelbyville's had in a while. They're definitely more athletic and probably more talented than we are tonight. So hopefully, this is a home game for them, and they're expected to have a great season. So hopefully all the pressure's on them, and we're going to let it hang loose and see if we can get to the game late in the second half tonight with a chance to win it.
Now, Coach, I think I read in the stats that Marcellus Campbell was your leading tackler last week. And, I think you guys have got him listed in the secondary. So, anytime you got a cornerback as your leading tackler, that's not going to lead to good things. Who in that front 7 do you feel needs to step up tonight?
Well, you're exactly right about that, Mike. Marcellus is our free safety, and he's a good player, but he made a bunch of tackles 20 yards down the field last week trying to tackle Devin Starling, who's as good.
Oh, boy, he is solid.
I don't know what his offers are right now. I would venture to say he's the best running back in the mid-state. He's special.
I agree. Totally.
We said the same thing. Yep.
He's not prototypical D1 size, but if he's not the best running back in the state, I'd like to know who he is.
I agree.
But you're right. Our front 7's got to step up tonight. Of course, it starts with Ja'Shawn Wilcox, number 72 for us.
Right.
We feel that he's the leader on both sides of the ball for us on the O&D line. He's got to rally the troops, and I feel like we've got some good, junior and senior defensive linemen that can kind of mix in with him that can hopefully corral Caleb Marsh and put some pressure on Trammell tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I got a quick question. Going back to what you were talking about, having players going both ways more so than you ever have this year. How do you go about handling that in practice and game scenario, keeping them from cramping? How do you handle that as a personal preference?
Man, it's a great question. We've been blessed with so much depth the last 4 years that we hadn't had to have a bunch of guys start both ways. And there might be a guy play 25% of the snaps on the other side, but not have to play the whole game on both sides. And we've got about 5 or 6 kids this year that are having to play the whole game pretty much both ways. First off, it starts in practice, as you said, of sprinting and straining your body every day in practice, because that's the only way you can get ready for a game. So that was where it starts. It's still tough to do. I feel like that. I feel like I've got the best coaching staff in the mid-state. I feel like we do a good job of stealing every minute we can get with those kids to pour the knowledge into them and get them prepared for, being a guy that plays on both sides of the football. But it's tough. It's the number one thing. It's tough, and you don't want to have to live in that world, but that's kind of where we're at right now, as young as we are.
Coach, I know you got to get with your team, but one thing I want to talk about real quick, Region 4, they swept Region 3. Lee and I think we had you guys, we had Maplewood, we had Spring Hill all in our top 10 preseason. You go outside this really, really tough region. You could throw Nolensville in there as well. Then you got Shelbyville, you got Pearl Cone, you got Giles County, Cane Ridge, Brentwood. What the heck was you thinking, brother?
It's the question that I guess I'm tired of answering with so many people from in town. And,
sorry.
No, I'm joking. Just 2 years ago, of course, we had one of the best teams in Marshall County history 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when we did the rescheduling, and a lot of the people, our old rivals, just didn't want to play the next year. And
right.
It was probably the worst month or two in my head coaching career trying to make that next schedule. And if I could go back and do it, we probably wouldn't be playing 10 games this year. We'd probably be playing 7 or 8. That's not joking too much.
Right.
So that's you live and you learn. It's a good problem to have. But
I was just picking at you.
No, I know you are. I appreciate you.
I respect the fact that you guys took on this schedule.
I still get all the time, Coach, why in the world are we playing Brentwood? Why in the world are we playing Cane Ridge? And my answer is, it was either play them or not play 10 games.
Yeah.
And so this is my only stance on it. Supposedly the Lord's not going to give you more than you can handle, and it was a good problem to have. I hate that Tito Soleil has got small regions.
Right.
To me,
or you had to schedule so many out of the
region.
That's
right. To me, Tennessee should be a 5-class state. I'll say it. And even though it's probably beneficial for us that we are 6, because it makes creating Tennessee should be a 5-class state in football. It would make all the regions 7 or 8 team regions,
Yep.
And it wouldn't just be a debacle trying to schedule all these non-region games. And
I agree wholeheartedly.
It makes that part as a head coach miserable. We play 5 region games, and essentially we play 5 games that don't matter for anything in playoffs, but football is a once-a-week sport,
right?
And morale and momentum have so much to do with it.
Yep.
That's my
you got to play to win those
that's
as
my
well.
pet peeve. So if y'all want to carry that banner for us of. I doubt it's going to change because the playoff money has already been set in 6 classes, but Tennessee should be a 5-class public school state.
I didn't mean to get you all riled up. Let's get back on topic right quick. I know I told you to let you go. Tough region. What's the toughest matchup for you guys, you think, in this region?
The region is the best it's ever been.
I agree.
In the 5 years I've been here, and of course you say that all the time, it truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Nolensville's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Spring Hill's going to be good. Transfer running back come in.
Yeah. Johnson.
And then to top, Tullahoma's got the best team they've had in I think 3 or 4 years, even though they didn't win last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Maplewood. Maplewood skill wise may be as talented as anybody in the mid-state at any level. So
right.
So as a coach, you look down our schedule and it makes you want to puke a little bit, but just,
cry a little bit.
But what a lesson to take it one day at a time.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Coach, go to your team, buddy. I really appreciate you jumping on with us.
Thank y'all.
And we won't harass you next time we get you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck, buddy. Lee, I think I made him mad. Thanks, Coach. I think I made him mad, Lee. I didn't want to make him mad. He's one of my favorites. One of the best young coaches around, in my opinion. And he does have a solid staff. That's what he was talking about.
Well, I tell you what, his schedule is brutal.
I don't think it's a tougher schedule in the state. I ran down those non-regions games. We already talked about that tough region he's in, Lee. Besides that tough region schedule he's got, I'll go over it again. He's got this Shelbyville team expected to contend for this Region 5 title. He's got Giles County. Coach O'Connor's got a heck of a ball team down there. He's got Bryce Wallace, his quarterback. Cane Ridge, he's carried them to overtime. And then Brentwood.
And Pearl Cone.
And Pearl Cone, yeah. And Pearl Cone, and a team, we got them going to Cookeville.
His 5 out-of-region games, like I said, it's just a brutal. But I tell you what, Coach Osteen will learn from this, and his guys will learn from it, and they'll be able to compete. I think they'll compete with all of them.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I do too, Lee. But I'm gonna go ahead and flash their schedule up right quick just so the viewers can see that, and then we'll jump in and we'll go straight to big games. We're a little bit behind,
let's roll with it.
All right, let's scroll that schedule so the fans can see that. And that's this is Marshall County's schedule this year. Like I said, Lee,
that's brutal.
Tough schedule. But, it's like he said, when you have, and Alcoa runs into this, Union City runs into this, Greenville runs into this, anytime you have a dominant in-class team, it's a bear to try to get a schedule together.
It is.
You either got to go way down, 3 or 4 classifications and pick up a good team in that class that's looking for a game,
right?
Or you have to go up. And
well, he catches it, but the one thing that's beneficial to him when you do look at that schedule is they're all close by.
Yeah.
So
not a ton of travel. Right. That's true. But like he said, they're not as deep as they've been in the past years. So that may wind up coming back to bite them here at some point in time. Hopefully it doesn't.
I hope.
I think I have a ton of respect for that man right there.
Me too.
Lee, huge game, and man, I wish I had a day off tomorrow so I could have made the trip. Our Oakland Patriots, our buddy Kevin Creasy, heading up to face our buddy Derek Hunt at Maryville. Man, I don't really know which way to go with this one right here. Well, I'm lying. I do.
I know which way I'm going.
I'm going to Oakland, and I know Maryville's tough to beat at home. But this Oakland team, you and I have seen them all year. We saw them in the preseason. We saw them against the Indy last week. I don't know. What do you think about this game?
I like Oakland by 2 scores.
2 scores?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like Oakland by 2 scores, and the reason I say that is last year this was a 17-14 ball game, and I realized that Maryville was playing their backup quarterback last year in that opener.
Right.
But
who is their starter now?
Right, who's starting for them this year.
Right.
But this is a different Oakland team than they saw last year.
Oh, no doubt.
This early in the season.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. We went out last week and watched them play Indy. We were there. And, man, I mean, you could just hear them hitting the kids from Oakland were hitting those kids from Independence, man. And, I mean, this is a different level of pad popping going on.
I'd like to know the last time a Scott Blade-led team was held to under 200 yards of total offense, Lee T. I don't have them very often, and that's exactly what this Oakland defense, they won that game 46-7, and it could have been worse than that. And then Maryville, they had the subs in the third quarter. Maryville beats a good Catholic team 31-10 behind Braden Carnes, the new quarterback.
Right.
I don't know, brother. I think it's going to be closer than what you're thinking it is, but I like Oakland, no doubt, to get the win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 10+ points.
10+. That's I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I hope they keep it a little closer now. I have a lot of respect for both of these programs, and you would have to.
Well, if anybody's going to be able to game them, I would have thought Coach Blade could.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
You know, and
he didn't have an answer.
He did not have an answer.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, we're both going Oakland on that one. Firm.
Yes,
firm. Oakland. A game over in Murfreesboro tonight of interest is two teams that lost last week. Lost close games. Franklin lost to Brentwood 17-14. Lee, they actually led that game late, and then Riverdale goes to East Nashville, and they go down big early, come back and make a game out of it. They lose 30-22. I don't know. How do you see this game going? Of course, Riverdale won last year, 24-7.
24-7. I know it's at Riverdale, and that's a pretty tough place to play. They get the TP down there and get everybody rolling, tomahawk chopping. But I like Franklin tonight.
I like Franklin also. Their quarterback, Josh Nichols, threw for 142 yards, both the Rebel touchdowns, and that 17-14 loss to rival Brentwood. I think he probably has a pretty good game tonight. Josh Nichols made his debut under center for Franklin. He threw, I think he threw a 19-yard second quarter touchdown to Chancellor Bright. Two first-year starters at quarterback, Lee. That might be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I tell you, Franklin's tailback had 60 yards on 15 carries, but they called an 80-yarder back.
That's right.
I mean, you know, you're looking at a kid. If they hadn't called that back, what is that? 140 yards rushing on 15 carries. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. True.
So I like Franklin in this ball game, and I feel bad for Coach Kreisky, but I think he's just depleted this year.
I think he is too, and I'm with you. I think he's another guy. We put him in the classification with these two guys we just talked to. He's one of the really, really good young coaches, and there's a lot of good young coaches in the Mid-State right now.
Right.
His brother Matt over at Centennial is doing a really good job, and we'll talk about them here in a minute. But a lot of good young coaches coming up through the ranks now. Next game, Lee, Page, and Nolensville. Charles Rathbone lost his, and Coach Osteen just mentioned that, lost his big stud running back, Bubba Johnson. He transferred over to Spring Hill. They wound up beating Fairview 28-20 in spite of the fact they didn't have Bubba. And then Nolensville gets a big win, 41-28 over Fayetteville last week. What do you think about this game?
I'll be honest with you. You know, I picked Page to win that ball game last week, but Fairview's a pretty good team, man. You know, so 28-20, I thought it might be, 3-point ball game or something.
Right.
But this tonight is at Nolensville. Last year, Page just boat raced them.
Mm-hmm.
Does Nolensville get revenge tonight at home?
I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with Nolensville.
You going with Nolensville? That's not a bad pick. Paul Derrick's done a really good job taking over for Will Hester there at Nolensville. He's been a popular pick. I think Colton Dooley had 5 touchdowns on 180 yards rushing last week, so he's expected to do well. And then Cade Walker for Page, the new quarterback, 11 of 16, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. So there's some new faces for both of these teams. Now, of course, Nolanville had everybody back, Lee, because they didn't have any seniors last year, so their whole staff is back from last year.
Right.
I'm gonna flip on you, brother. I'm gonna go with Rathbone. I'm gonna go with Page.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. We saw that quarterback, Page's quarterback, over there in that jamboree.
We did.
He looked pretty good.
We did, and I'm gonna go with Page. I think that this game right here, this is one of those 50-50 games. There's a whole lot of them on the docket tonight.
Yeah, this is a tough week.
It's a tough week, man. If you come out, if you come out 60% win rate, that'll be good this week.
I think so.
These are coin tosses. The Coffee Pot, battle for the Coffee Pot, Lee Teat. Ryan Sikowski's team heads over to Tullahoma tonight. This is always a battle. It's 42-41. Tullahoma won it last year. Ben Fulton in his debut as the new Tullahoma for Nick Barstad. You asked me that last week.
That's right, Nick Barstad.
Yeah, I just my mind blew up. We had so much stuff going on. But Nick Barstad, one of the best statistical seasons any Tullahoma quarterback has ever had. Ben Fulton got some big shoes to fill. He was 21 of 31, 178 yards last week. He did have 2 picks, Lee, but he's young at the position. He's a junior, but he's young at the position. I think he's going to have a good night tonight.
Well. Does Tullahoma get Kobe Burks the ball more this week?
That's what, matter of fact, that was one of my key points. I think it has to happen. He didn't touch the ball a lot last week. I think he had 3 touches last week, Lee. I think that's an area of concern for John Olive. He's got to get the ball in his hands more. I mean, he had a 99-yard TD interception for TD last year, which tells me if you can get him in open field,
that's right.
You can get him open field, he's dangerous.
Yeah,
so I think they got to get the ball to him more.
I think they'll probably try to feature him a little bit tonight, and Race Marin.
Right.
They'll get him the ball out, which is, that's good for Ben Fulton.
All region. Yep.
He's got some good weapons to use. I like Tullahoma at home in this ball game. I think Coach Olive's got a good squad this year.
Yep.
And they're, I think they're going to try to.
Well, Coach Osteen said he thought that was the best Tullahoma team they've had in several years. I don't know if I'd go that far. But, yeah, there's a lot of talent there for the Wildcats. Coffee County had the lead on Franklin County part of that game. I think I failed. No. What was it? Oh, Coach Sikowski was upset. I don't know if you saw that on Facebook. Apparently, Franklin, of course, I'm giving you his side. Franklin County went for 2 on a fake field goal, I believe. The holder had his knee on the ground or something. In other words, anyway, Coach Sikowski felt that should have been down right there, and the 2-point conversion denied, and that wound up being it was an 8-point game, but whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry.
Well, Coach Sikowski.
It was a good game is what I'm getting at.
That's right. But one thing he's got to shore up is protecting the football, man. They had too many turnovers last week.
They did.
So I think Coach Olive is probably all week long preach strip the ball.
Yeah, because like you said, Lee, they had 5 fumbles. I think they wound up losing 2 or 3 of those fumbles. So you can't put the ball on the ground if you're a struggling offense like the Raiders are. So I like the Wildcats.
I'll take in the Wildcats.
Eagleville at Cornersville, Lee. This was a game that I really, really wanted to go to. If we didn't go to this one, that's another tough game, man. Eagleville, the only loss Coach Gerard Randolph's team had last year, Lee, was to this Eagleville team, 31-6. Put it on them pretty good.
31-6.
It's a tough game, brother. I'll let you pick first. You want me to go first?
No, I got it. I tell you what, man. I think Eagleville's got a little too much for them.
I like Ethan Cobb.
It's at Cornersville, which is, tough place to play.
It is.
And I love Coach Randolph.
I do too.
And he's got he's got a stable full of talent.
Yep.
I mean, most of them kids returning off that championship team last year.
Yep.
But I like Ethan Cobb, and I think Eagleville, I know this is a 1A versus a 2A, but I think this may be a smaller 1A versus a very large 2A.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of a gap there.
Well, they are a Rutherford County team. I think they're probably going to lose some players, I think, when that Rockville school opens over there.
I think so.
I think Rockville's going to pull from them. So if they're going to get something done, I think they need to do it this year, Lee.
I think so. And I think Coach Walker, I think maybe tonight he just got a little bit too much for Cornersville. But there again, I wouldn't be surprised if Cornersville comes out and wins this ball game. I think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take Eagleville close.
Just for the sake of being argumentative, I'll go with the Bulldogs. I was going with the Eagleville. I'd already made my mind up I was going to go with Eagleville. But in these coin toss games, I think I'm going to make one of us a winner in them anyway. It may be you. I like Eagleville. Ethan Cobb, 9 of 13, 156 yards, 1 TD last week. But against Huntland, I'm going to go with Cornersville. You got a problem with that?
No, none whatsoever.
Cane Ridge and Brentwood Lee. This is another game, man. I mean, I'm killing you, dude. I've picked some tough games.
These are some.
They're monsters, man.
I would like to be at a lot of these.
I would too.
To be honest because I think they're going to be really close.
They are.
Early season matchups.
This is a game Eddie Woods is going to want. It's not even a region game, Lee. It's a Region 5 against a Region 6. But Cane Ridge's only loss before they got to Cookville last year was a 41-21 defeat by Brentwood, and their starting quarterback, first time he had started, I think, wasn't it? No. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Ravenwood. I'm getting my Region 16s mixed up. That's incorrect. Shacklet was quarterbacking them.
Shacklet.
It's hard to keep all these names straight, brother. But at any rate, Cane Ridge got spanked pretty good, so I know Eddie Woods is going to want to win this game.
Well, they went to Marshall County last week. No. They had Marshall County at home last week. They go to Brentwood this week. Coach Crawford, tough at home.
Yep.
Very tough at home.
Very tough.
But I tell you what, I just like Starling.
I do too, and you know, Coach Osteen said that may be the best back in the mid-state, and I couldn't argue with him.
Best back in the mid-state.
Well, there's a couple that could, you know, Myers over at Oakland's really good. You know, there's a few. I don't know that there is a best. There's probably like a 1A, a 1B, 1C, probably 3 or 4.
Let me tell you why I like Starling in a college atmosphere right now better than I do most is because the kid can catch the ball out of the backfield. He blitz pick up and runs the ball. And you and I both witnessed, I think he's gained a step.
Yeah, I do too.
In speed, and I know he's put on about 15 pounds.
Right.
I'd love to be at this ball game.
I would too. I'm going to take the Ravens on the road.
I am too. I think Cane Ridge gets it done tonight in a close one.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be real close, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if both of us missed this one, but
well, Coach Crawford, man,
he's a coach, man. He's a gamer. Only one starter back on offense.
That's what kind of.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. But you know, who knows? Who knows?
That's right. That's a tough one.
Here's another one for you, my friend. Hendersonville, the Commandos, who led Blackman at one point last week. They wound up falling 28-10. And I felt like this was going to be a dangerous Hendersonville team. They traveled to Centennial, and Matt Kreisky almost pulled the upset again last week like he did in 2017 and almost knocked Ravenwood off. Wound up falling 35-28, but who do you like in this one?
I like Centennial.
Like Centennial.
I do. I think Wilson's going to get some yards tonight. He's another kid that's very talented, very explosive. Jerry O. Wilson, that's who I'm referring to.
Mm-hmm.
I like Centennial at home.
Centennial at home.
I do. I think if they put up 28 points on Ravenwood last week, Ravenwood, I think, is a very good ball club.
Jarrell Wilson ran the opening kickoff back for TD against Ravenwood last week. Wide receiver at Centennial, Joey Gustafson.
Yep.
You sure?
Yep.
All right.
He blew it out of the water.
I'll go with it, yeah. He caught 4 passes, 186 yards.
What is that? My math sucks. I went to Greenboro.
60, I don't know. My math's terrible too, Lee. No, it ain't 60. That'd be 240. Anyway, that's a lot of yardage for 4 catches.
Yeah.
And I think he had 2 of his TDs were over 70 yards, which tells me the quarterback looked good.
That's right.
You know, if he's throwing the ball downfield that accurately.
He's just a junior too, that kid, Grayson Marcel.
Yeah. So you're going Centennial, the Cougars.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cougars at home.
And you do know that Hendersonville beat Centennial 56-21 last year, right?
Yes, I do.
That doesn't concern you at all?
No.
Because you don't see any matchup issues?
No.
All right, Lee, I'm going with you, brother. I like Centennial, too. Summit and Independence, and we saw Independence last week, Lee. They couldn't get T.J. Sheffield loose. I think he was held to 31 rushing yards, only 23 receiving yards against probably, in my opinion, the best defense in the state in Oakland. So, you know, Cisco has got to do a better job of getting the ball to Sheffield tonight if they're going to beat a really good Summit team that held Spring Hill to 7 points. A Spring Hill team with Bubba Johnson.
Right. I think Indy tonight, I do think that Cisco will have a lot more time to set in the pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. He better.
And I think Sheffield is he's not going to have Woody Washington on him.
Right.
You know, that's the thing about we keep alluding to Oakland, man. They hit Cisco every play last week. Their Indy's quarterback, he was on his back most of the night.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to see that tonight. I like Independence at home in this.
I think I do too. Summit did upset Independence last year, 31-17. Brian Coleman's team kind of come out of nowhere last year.
Right.
I mean, we knew they were going to be good, but I didn't think they would go after they lost to Spring Hill. They went on a run, I think, Lee. I don't believe they lost another regular season game, if I remember right. I'm not sure about that. But, well, no, they had 3 losses, so they did lose another one. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I think they may have slipped up on some teams early last year.
Right.
So, they had Independence second week. I don't think anybody realized how good that Summit team was. They're not going to – it's kind of like we were talking about with Coach Marty Wheeler earlier.
Right.
They're the hunted. They're the hunted this year. And so I think it despite the fact, I'm pretty sure you picked Spring Hill. I don't remember which one I picked.
I did pick Spring Hill.
I may have did that too. I can't remember. Yeah.
Remember, I thought they.
I may have picked them too. I don't remember who I picked, but I always remember the ones you missed.
Yeah,
you notice that, don't you? I think this week it gets things turned around and close game. I think it's a close game.
Yes.
All right, Lee. Our game tonight is Marshall County and Shelbyville. And I told you, I said, after we interview the coaches, I'll make my pick. And I think I know who I'm going to pick now. I
do too.
Coach Osteen kind of led me to believe some of his key players aren't going to play tonight. His main tailback is not going to play. I think Coach Palmer's had some good game film. He's got I'm pretty sure his defensive coaches have got a good game plan coming in. I don't know. I think Thomason's going to struggle tonight, quarterback for Marshall County. I'm going to go with the Golden Eagles.
I like Shelbyville tonight, too. And the reason, well, obviously what you alluded to there, but another thing, too, is Shelbyville's going to be playing some inspired football tonight.
That's true. Good point.
Rusty.
Right.
Reed passing away this week.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure they've motivated the kids with that.
Right.
They're going to come out and perform as best they can. They got, they spent their first day yesterday in their new field house. I think they want to come out in this home opener and probably put some points up.
And Lee, one thing that you're not aware of, the people that are in Bedford County, are the horse show. Tennessee Walking Horse Show is going on. They let the kids out for 2 weeks. And we call this Distraction Friday is what we call it when my kids play. So you gotta be a little nervous about the fact that the kids are out. They were out. I think they used to get out Wednesday before it started. I'm not sure. I don't have kids in school anymore, but they're off all next week out of school. So are there any distractions that's going on this week? As a Shelbyville fan and coach, that's a concern.
Well, Coach Palmer also said, they spent all day yesterday moving.
Yeah. So how much focus was on this game?
Yeah.
It's not a region game. Have I talked to you in the Marshall County yet?
I still think I like Arius Trice
Yeah.
and Malachi Burns. I didn't get to see the ball game last week, but I was listening to it. And both of those kids,
they're hard to cover.
To defend.
Yeah.
Coach Osteen said they're long.
Yeah.
And Coach Palmer says that maybe they're a little bit better possession.
Burns, I think Burns is like 6'4", Lee, 190, 200 pounds. So he's going to be a load to cover. I'm going to go with Shelbyville. You like Shelbyville, right?
I like Shelbyville.
All right, Lee. Let's take our last break. We got a whole lot more games to talk about, but let's take a quick break. Give the viewers a little break from us, and we'll be back with more big game discussion. Mike Mulder and Lee Teat, my friend Lee Teat, my buddy. Friday Main Event. We'll be back after this. Hello, folks. I hope you're enjoying Week 2 of the Friday Main Event live stream. Week 1, we had a few issues, as some of you, hopefully not many of you know, we had our problems Week 1, but, all in all, we learned a lot. I guess that's the main thing, and we're going to continue to learn things as we go through this process. Lee and I were new to this. You got a couple of radio guys. I've been doing radio for 8 years. This is my first venture into YouTube, so I'm learning a lot about this streaming, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll have it down, I'm thinking. But got a great show for you guys. We're starting off Rob Black, Fulton's head coach, one of very few coaches that have won 3 consecutive state titles. Always enjoy talking to Coach Black. We'll have him on to start the show, followed by Marty Wheeler, Covington's head coach, won the state title last year. One of my favorite guys. Coach Wheeler and I, we really enjoy picking at each other. I think you guys will pick up on that during the show. Third segment, we will have Justin Palmer, Shelbyville's head coach. We are, by the way, at Shelbyville, as I'm sure you've already heard during the show. Shelbyville, Marshall County. This should be a heck of a ball game, worth thinking anyway. Marshall County came very close to knocking off Cane Ridge last week. They carried that game to overtime, so I expect this to be quite a good game tonight with Shelbyville, who knocked Tullahoma off last week rather convincingly. So, again, a great show. We'll finish off the coaches' interviews with Thomas Osteen. I'm not sure if that'll be 5:15 or 5:30. It's going to depend on when the bus gets here. Shelbyville in the middle of the walking horse show right now, as you know, so traffic is a monster to get through. But great show. We'll be talking big games the second half of the show, the second hour of the show. So I think we've got a great show for you guys. If everything goes as smooth as we're hoping it does, it should be great. It's brought to you as it is every week, CoachT.com. If you're not a Coach T Plus member, go to CoachT.com on the home screen. All the information you need to become a Plus member, and you determine how much it costs. You pay Coach T what you think this website is worth to you. First time they've ever done that in the history of the website. I think it's a great thing. So go to CoachT.com, check them out. I think you'll enjoy it. Mike Mulder and Lee T. This is the Friday Man event, and we'll return you guys to the show. All right, back here at Shelbyville High School, we're getting ready for big game here in the league. You can see the guys in the background.
Oh, yeah.
It's Shelbyville warming up. Shelbyville's field looks great, man. I'm looking forward to this one. Marshall County, Shelbyville getting ready to do battle here. If you're in the area, if you're at the stadium, come by and give me and Lee a shout out.
Heck yeah, come by, shake her hand.
Let us know that you're watching anyway.
That's right.
Lee, we're talking big games, and we're going to jump back in. We got a ton. I don't know if we'll ever get to all of them tonight or not, but we're going to give it a shot. This is probably the third game of all the games tonight. If I had a chance to go to it, and it worked out where I could, would be Waverly Central, the Tigers, Matt McConnell's team, headed over to Huntington, our good buddy Eric Swenson's squad. That could potentially be a really good game tonight.
It's going to be a really good game. Huntington won this ball game last year by 3.
That's correct.
39-36.
Uh-huh.
And they went to Waverly Central and did that. Now, Waverly Central goes to Huntington tonight and try to get some revenge.
Well, they got Mr. Football, Gavin Stanfield, at quarterback. They got Montez Bradley. He's a heck of a ball player as well. I think Stanfield last week, Lee, was 9 of 13, 200 yards and 1 TD. Of course, they beat Camden 43-8, so I'm sure he never even saw the field and, past probably midway through the second quarter, because you don't want to get him hurt in a game like that. He also had 6 rushes for 63 yards.
Right.
I don't know. J.D. Dixon caught 4 passes for 117 yards. Montez Bradley had 3 rushing. That's another tailback that's really fun to watch.
I like Coach McConnell, too.
I do, too.
And I really like Stanfield. When we saw him last year, you can tell his kid's talented.
Yes.
He's a difference maker.
He
really is a difference maker.
Lefty, wasn't he?
Lefty.
We saw him at Columbia Academy in the playoffs.
But Coach Swenson at Huntington, 12-1 last year.
Disappointing, 12-1. They went in that game with Cornersville, heavy favorites, 12-0. They're going to be out to get some revenge on some teams this year, I think.
Interesting to see this matchup because it's a wing tee versus a spread, too. I always like that kind of game. It's at Huntington. Connor Pearson's a beast, too, Huntington.
He is.
McClurkin.
Well, Daquan Robbins had 172 yards on 4 carries with 3 TDs last week, Lee T. 43 yards a carry.
Against McKenzie.
Which is typically, Coach Comer usually has a pretty good ball team over there. They beat McKenzie 49-19. 455 yards on the ground, and Coach Swenson did attempt one pass last week, Lee.
Got picked.
Got intercepted.
He won't throw one tonight. he may not throw another one all year.
He won't throw another one all year. You're right, man. They got a heck of a ground and pound game.
Well, I don't know who to go with.
I don't either. Hunter Inslee, like I say, is taking over at quarterback, the junior, and good start for him. Brandon Lawton, another kid, rushed for 120 yards on 8 carries, 15-yard per carry average. A lot of offense on both sides of the ball here. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
I do too.
It's going to be a shootout.
I do too, man.
Who's going to win it, Lee Teat?
Huntington.
All right, I'm going with Waverly. I wanted to pick Waverly number 1. You wouldn't have let me in the preseason, so.
I think Huntington's going to win this ball game. The only reason I say that is I think maybe they can control the clock a little better tonight. Now, if Waverly Central gets off early,
yeah,
and
gets ahead where they got to play catch up,
might be a little different story. But I like Huntington at home, about the same as last year, probably a 39-36 type ball game.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go with Waverly. I think the Tigers have got a point to prove this year. I think, Lee, if Stanfield hadn't got hurt in that CA game, they might have had a state title last year.
I think you're right.
He got hurt on a gimmick play. I don't even remember how it happened. For some reason, it was some type of trick play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He wound up running the ball and got hurt in that play. I think had that not happened, you would have been seeing Waverly up in Cookeville. I think they were that good last year.
I think so.
All right, so Waverly and you got Huntington. Franklin County and Laverne, Lee, the Rebels, Mac McCurry off to a 1-0 start, beats Coffee County 22-14 last week. Nayland Jeans, a new quarterback there, had a pretty good game in his debut with the Rebels. Laverne, Stanton Stevens team, Lee, they're just bad. Got beat 41-0 by Smyrna last week. What do you think about this one?
I think Coach McCurry gets another win under his belt.
Gets another
tonight.
win. I think you're right. I think probably Fuquay has a big game tonight for Franklin County, and of course Nayland Jeans. I think he also has Riley Engel had a big carry for him. He actually had a 34-yard scoring run with 2:22 left in the game that put it out of reach for Franklin County. So he may have a big game tonight as well. But I like the Rebels on the road to get a win here.
I do too.
All right, brother. Well, that was easy. Here's another head scratcher, man. Beach, the Buccaneers, Anthony Crabtree, another one of those. Probably, you got to put him in the category in the mid-state as one of the best 2 or 3 coaches, I think, based on what he's done. 116 and 45 and 13 years at Beach. He's got a title there with Jalen Hurd.
Right.
Henry County, James County's team, I think they scored, Lee. Will Parrish had a touchdown pass to Ethan Thompson with 4 seconds last week that made me a winner over you.
Yeah, I had Haywood.
You had Haywood. And
4 seconds.
I went with Henry County.
Play some defense, Haywood, for the last 5 seconds.
29-26. The Patriots of Henry County win that game. This could be a really good game. It's 34-31 Beach last year, and I think I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I know Henry County's a tough place to play, Lee. I'm kind of leaning in that direction. This is at Austin P. I forgot. I think they're playing this one at Austin P. Correct?
I know they played it there last year.
Yeah, I believe it's there again this year. I'm pretty sure it is.
If it is, that kind of takes out the equation.
That does.
I like Coach Crabtree. I'm gonna take Beach.
Yeah. I was leaning on that home field advantage a lot. Heck, Henry County was good to me last week. I'll go with them again.
I like Beach.
Go Patriots.
I just think Coach Crabtree's a good coach.
He is a good coach. He is a good coach. I agree with you. So, all right. Well, we split on one of us is going to be pretty good this week.
They ran the ball very well last week, too.
Well, we've went opposite side quite a few games.
That's right.
And I knew we would because there's so many games. It's coin flip this week. There's a ton of good games. Another good game over in West Tennessee. Lee, we talked about Milan when we had Coach Wheeler on earlier. Teddy Pettigrew picks up his first win, 62-6 last week over a Humboldt team that's been through about 10 coaches, I think, in the last 3 months. So the only thing about Milan that bothers me is Jaquez Norman. You know, he transferred to Cane Ridge. We saw him out here in that scrimmage with Oakland. Man, that kid is a baller, dude. He is. He plays everywhere. He's really, really good on the defense side of the ball. He's a good hard runner. He can catch it out of the backfield. I think losing him is going to hurt Milan this year.
I think so too, and obviously that's good. Cooper Bogus got the start last week. We talked to him about him in the preseason show. He got hurt in a car wreck.
Right.
It kind of up in the air about what's going to happen with this kid. Well, I'm glad to hear.
Well, according to the Jackson Sun, I looked the stats up, but he did play last week. So I think he was 4 or 5 for 80 yards. So they won 55-0 over BTW. So. I don't think he played a lot, and why would he?
No.
I mean, you don't want to risk him getting hurt coming off that injury from the wreck. But good.
2,000 all-purpose yards last year from the quarterback spot.
Right.
True dual threat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I tell you what though, Milan.
They got a lot of starters back, Lee. 8 back on offense, 7 on defense.
I tell you what, I'm gonna take Milan.
I'm going. I talked to you that. I'm going with the Golden Tide. I think they're tough, man. They're going to be really good this year. When I heard that Cooper Bogus was back, I kind of swayed. I was going Milan until I heard that.
Yeah, I'm going to take Milan at home.
That's probably a good pick. They're tough to beat at home, and I would guarantee you most of our viewers here would agree with you, Milan, but,
Well, that transfer of Jaquez Norman, though, that is a big deal.
Yeah. Dixon and Wilkins led Peabody in the blowout win last week. I think they have big games tonight. They got a lot of kids that can run the ball there for the Golden Tide. So
they're fast.
I'm going to go with Peabody. I think this is another one of them coin toss games. So we'll get on opposite sides of it. Like I say, one of us is going to look pretty smart about 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah. I'll be looking at the back of my eyelids.
Yeah,
you have to let me know in the morning.
Yeah, me too. Lee, another big game there in Nashville tonight. Maplewood and East Nashville. Maplewood gets the big win over McGavick, 42-21. East Nashville beats Riverdale, 30-22. Both the quarterbacks had big games. Bobo Hodges had 358 yards, 6 TDs, and then on the other side, Rondé Thompson threw for 306 yards and 3 TDs against Riverdale. So.
I like Maplewood.
Going to be a lot of offense tonight, I think.
I like Maplewood, though. I like Bobo Hodges.
He's a real deal.
He is the real deal.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's a difference maker.
He's the number 27 recruit in the state. And, of course, East Nashville has got Jayshon Watkins. Of course, Thompson will be trying to get the ball in his hands much as he can. So I don't think I think both teams are going to score a lot of points, but I agree with you. We have Maplewood in our Class 4A top 5, so I can't go against. Not this early in the season. I'm not going to abandon them just yet.
Kendrell Scurry, too.
Yeah, that's true. The transfer from Indy, right?
That's hard to handle. You got Bobo back there throwing.
Yeah, throwing to him.
Scurry he's a do-it-all kid, too. He's a wide receiver, but they pitch him the ball. They run jet sweeps with him. He does a lot of different stuff.
Right. All right, so we're both on Maplewood's bandwagon this week. Forest and Fayetteville, Lee, a couple of teams with really rough starts to the season. Forest against BGA dropped 42-7, and probably what's the most disturbing in that game, Lee, Forest wasn't even able to muster 100 total yards of offense. Just no offense, non-existent. I don't know. That's not a good start to Eli Stevenson's coaching career there, new head coach.
No,
he took over for Brent Johns.
I don't know a whole lot about BGA, which is who they play.
Well, it's a private school.
It is, but, man, come on. You got to get 100 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good.
Well, we thought Forest was going to be pretty good. And I'm not giving up on them yet because BGA definitely was heavily favored in that game. Just the fact that they weren't able to put anything together offensively you kind of threw up some red flags for me personally. Fayetteville High, Alvin Palmer, he's in his farewell tour as a head coach of the Tigers. Of course, he told us last year, Lee, December, he'll be retiring. They hung with Nolensville, I guess as good as you could say, 41-28. Nolensville beat them. Graham Pace had 6 carries, 67 yards. Xavier Gray, 3 carries, 54 yards. I don't know. How do you see this one going? It's a tough game to pick.
I like Fayetteville at home.
Fayetteville won 27-14 last season. Fayetteville is the fact that they put 28 up on Nolensville, I think, speaks volumes.
I think so too. I like Fayetteville at home.
Preseason, I would have been all over Forrest in this 100%. I hate to bail on them this early in the season.
Well, they got to make me a believer, though.
They got to make me a believer. I understand your reasoning there.
If that's right, they didn't get but less than 100 yards.
That's right. I looked it up.
You know, because I can tell you right now, Coach Palmer, he's going to put some points up.
He is. I'll go Fayetteville too, Lee. There's so many games. Normally, when I sit down in this chair at 4:30, I know who I'm picking.
Right.
But I'm kind of flip flopping a lot tonight.
This one's another one.
Spring Hill and Columbia Academy. Spring Hill beat Columbia Academy 35-18. We found out our buddy Charlie Lansdale's son, Rush, one of the best mid-state players, announced this week he'll be at UT Martin.
That's a good pickup by UT Martin.
Absolutely, really man. He's a baller. He's a 6'3", 180, number 41 recruit in state league. He plays defense. He plays wide receiver. He should have a good career over there at UT Martin.
I think so. Man, this is at Columbia Academy, which is that's one of our favorite places to go. They feed you well. It's a great facility. Oh man, Spring Hill's got Big Bubba Johnson. But I tell you what, Trey Davidson's pretty doggone good running back.
He is a very good running back. I think he had over 200 yards last week, Lee, and that went over a good Nashville Christian team.
The Spring Hill start the season 0-2.
I wouldn't have thought it when the season started, but I thought they would beat Summit last week.
Me too.
I don't know, man. I pick because I'm going the other way. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. I'm going whichever way you don't go. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
I'm going to take Columbia Academy at home.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. Dang it. I was hoping you'd go Spring Hill. I got a better feeling about Columbia. But there may have been some distractions. You know, Rush declaring his commitment. There may have been some distractions midweek over there. Yeah, I'll go with that. Spring Hill. I can't see Ben Martin's squad going 0-2, Lee, so I'll take the Raiders in that one. Smyrna and Wilson Central, Lee, Region 5 versus Region 4. Smyrna won this one pretty big, 43-10 last year. And Smyrna, Coach Matt Williams' squad looking good in the season open, 41-0 over Laverne.
I think Smyrna gets the win tonight in this ball game, but I think this will be a little bit better test for them this week. Laverne is not very good.
Yeah.
And I think Wilson Central played Beach fairly close.
They did.
Week.
That's what I was going to say.
I like Smyrna in the ball game, but I think it's going to be a very close ball game. I think it'll be a close score.
Yeah.
I really do.
I do too. For Smyrna, Alex Bannister had a big day. I think he threw for 193 yards. He was 9 of 14 with 2 TDs. So you combine that with a very good Blake Watkins running the ball. He's a number 50 recruit in the state. And, of course, they got the junior Dallas Walker, another really good player for that Smyrna team.
Yep.
I like Matt Williams Bulldogs. I think they got a real good shot at competing with Cane Ridge for that region this year.
I think so.
All right, Lee, Ravenwood and Siegel. This game I thought would be good when I watched the Jamboree over here. I thought Siegel looked pretty good in that Jamboree, but last week Ravenwood, well, they struggled early, against Centennial. Centennial opening kickoff return for a touchdown. Right. So everybody thought Ravenwood would walk in that game. It wound up being a 7-point, 35-28 victory for the Raptors. I think Ravenwood gets on track this week, puts up a lot of points. Siegel, man, shut out by Stewart's Creek. That was a bit of a shock.
All big plays. Stewart's Creek scored on all big plays in that ball game.
Yeah.
But, hey, you can't give up big plays. And they did. Siegel
Right.
gave them up. Well,
Right.
Ravenwood has capability of making a big play every play.
Oh, yeah.
I think this gets ugly.
I think it does, too. It's 28-0 Stewart's Creek, and we really didn't think Stewart's Creek was going to be very good this year. So that may be an indictment on Mike Copley's program, the Stars. They may struggle all year, Lee.
I think so.
They were 4-6 last year, but they'll be without starting offensive lineman John Gordon. Got in a skirmish there at Stewart's Creek, got ejected, and
Can't play this week.
can't play this week. So that's another that'll hurt him right there because he's one of their starters, on that line.
Hey, what did Garcia do last week for Indy? For Ravenwood.
I didn't get his stats, Lee. I'm not sure. I did. Actually, I did look that up. I forgot. 281 yards, 3 touchdowns, completed 11 of 14 in the second half.
Wow.
So
Pretty good,
I
pretty good.
did have those numbers.
Pretty good numbers.
Pretty good numbers. I'll take that all day long,
Right.
every day. 281 yards.
He's just a junior.
Yeah, just a junior. He's going to have some colleges looking at him, especially if he grows a little bit.
Yeah.
He's another one of those kids. If he was 6'3", 6'4",
Like Bunch.
yeah, exactly, Bunch, and then even K Ballard over at
Right.
Green. Man, if that kid, if he was 6'3", Lee, he'd be at Alabama next year.
That's right.
He sure would.
He would.
Chattanooga Central and Red Bank, 28-12. Red Bank won this game last year, Lee. Chattanooga last week, 48-36 over a good Walker Valley squad. Of course, Red Bank had the first week bye. I hate that. So we don't really know what this. Both these teams' new head coaches, Kurt Jones at Chattanooga Central, and then Chris Brown takes over at Red Bank. I don't know. I don't really have a real good grab on this one. What do you like?
I like Chat Central.
I like Red Bank. I was setting you up on that one.
I like Chattanooga Central.
I think Red Bank, they got so many athletes. Calvin Jackson, and then you got Maddox Wilkie, the quarterback, 2,190 yards, 18 TDs, 65% completion rate.
Sorry about that.
That exciting, huh?
Yeah.
We about got it whipped, brother. We got 5 more
It's
minutes.
all good, man. They
So
just hit me out of nowhere.
hit you out of nowhere.
Ready
I'm
to
gonna
go
go.
again.
I'm gonna go Red Bank.
I'm taking Chattanooga Central with Mike McGee.
Dobbins Bennett gets steamrolled by Greenville, the team we were just talking about, 43-3 last week. I didn't see that coming. I had Greenville winning.
Yeah.
Joy Christian in his first year taking over for the legendary Graham Clark. Of course, I don't think Joe Gaddis' team. I heard some disgruntled fans on Coach T. They weren't real happy with the effort there in the 23-7 win over Hardin Valley. So I still like Oak Ridge.
I do too. Oak Ridge at home.
Dobbins Bennett won that game 28-25 last year. But like you said, Lee, Oak Ridge got a whole lot more starters back. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, man. You get beat 43-3 last week by a very outstanding Greenville team. We
Right.
we have them number 1 in our polls, preseason polls.
They're probably top 5 state all classes.
All classes, but man, what does that do for you week 1? You get thumped like that.
Yeah, that can't be good. And you kind of wonder if they're going to have a lag, based off of that.
Yeah.
I like Oak Ridge to win that. We got a couple of more, Lee, we're going to get to real quick. Sequatchie County, Marion County, potentially a good ball game right here. Mark Wartenberger went to South Pittsburgh, got shut out in his debut there for the Indians. Vic Grider's team's really good, though, so I don't want to read too much into that. Marion County, of course, their game with Hickson was canceled due to weather.
Right.
So they haven't hit the field yet. Sequatchie won this game 42-41 in overtime last year. So who do you like in this one?
I think after tonight, Coach Wattenberger ain't going to want to go to Marion County anymore because he lost last week to South Pitt, and I think he's going to lose again this week to Marion County.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Marion County, the Warriors are going to have a good squad this year, and they are at home.
Right.
And, so they went to Sequatchie last year and beat them. Now they got them at home. I agree. I like the Warriors to win this one.
Marion County.
Lexington and Decatur County Riverside, Lee Teat, my buddy Johnny Frost from Doolittle, Tennessee, started a community program there up in Unionville. He went to Moore County for 1 or 2 seasons as an OC, and now he's been with the Panthers, I think, for 2 years. He's 14-9, Lee, in those 2 years. A lot of people get them contending with Waverly for that region.
I think they're a solid 2 seed in that region, maybe.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
I know Coach Frost's son is the QB there.
Stone,
at Riverside, but I like Lexington tonight. I think it's just too much depth, too much firepower.
Yeah, Hollingsworth's record speaks for itself. His teams regularly contend for region titles. I think they'll do that again this year, Lee. They were a solid 4A school. You know, we got a solid 4A school taking on a solid 2A school.
Right.
Even though Lexington is on the road, I like Hollingsworth's Tigers to get the victory.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Lee, I said one more, but we need to talk about this one quickly as we're out of time. Livingston Academy at Cookeville. What about our buddy Coach Maynard? Man, had a rough start to the season last week, didn't he?
Well, he's doing a complete rebuild.
Yeah.
He had 1 returner on each side of the ball. I know he was concerned with that, especially in the region he's in.
Yeah.
In 6A, you know, it's tough.
Right.
I tell you what, and you know, interesting stat on this real quick is Coach Maynard was all-world at Livingston Academy in high school. That's where he went to high school.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was all-state there in 2 sports. Went on to play at Tennessee Tech. Started at Tennessee Tech at quarterback for 3 years.
Yeah.
There. So it's interesting, you know, as alma mater, but I think Livingston gets the job done tonight. I can't see Cookeville right now. I think they're trying to turn the corner, but they got thumped hard by Upperman last week.
And Livingston supposed to be ready to have, or in position to have a good game. Will McDonald passed for 281 yards and 4 TDs last week,
right,
Lee, but it was White County, a really bad White County team. Jimmy Maynard, man, he's a very, very good coach.
Very
despite the fact that he only has 1 starter back on both sides of the ball, he's got Watson Brown there, I think, is OC, correct? Is he still there?
Well, I think he helped him out during the spring.
Helped him out, okay.
Trying to get, help him because his OC was Chuck.
Right. Who's now at Lebanon.
And then Samber was his OC the year after that, who's now at, he just took a program over.
Okay.
Derek Samber.
Right.
So he is out of an OC, so I think Watson stepped in to help him get through the spring,
okay.
And I think maybe Coach Maynard may be calling the plays right now, but I just can't see him beating Livingston.
I'm going with Jimmy Maynard. I'm going with Cookeville. I think he gets things turned around.
I hope he does.
He's too good a coach, I think, to start out 0-2 against 2 lower classification teams. I may miss a boat on this.
It is at Cookeville.
It's at Cookeville. It's an opener for them. I think they were at Upperman last week. So home opener for the Cavaliers, and Jimmy Maynard is a heck of a coach, as you know.
Good. He's as good as you're going to find X's and O's.
So I'm going to text him after a while and tell him I picked Cookeville and you picked Livingston Academy. He like that, wouldn't he? Your boy's up there, isn't he?
He's liable to thump me the next time he sees me.
Isn't your son up at Cookeville now?
He
Tennessee Tech?
He is.
Good deal. He may be going to this one.
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with him when he get in college, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I may text your son, tell him to go up there. And hey, he's a pretty good play caller himself. He sits up there. I'm really impressed with Elijah's football knowledge. So he might could get a job up there with Jimmy.
It's very possible.
He might could. That's actually not a bad idea.
He could.
Because I know Coach Maynard loves your boy.
Yeah.
He
could call plays, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you're darn right he could. Well, Lee, we are out of time, my friend. I think week 2, much better than week 1. I hope it was anyway. We apologize again for week 1, and we told you guys we'd get this stuff figured out. It's obviously it's a low budget production, but Lee and I we're sitting there. We're like you guys. We like talking football, and we do have access to a lot of head coaches, a lot of good head coaches, and we'll be bringing that every week. The only thing we would like for you guys to do in return for this program. Just subscribe to the channel. That kind of gives us an idea of how much support we've got each week. If we can get the subscription numbers, we continue to bring this every week, and it makes it a lot easier for us to put all this work into it when we know we've got a lot of people that appreciate it, right, Lee?
That's right. What you guys, we've said before, we're just working guys, man.
Yeah.
And
working Nissan.
This afternoon we got off work and Mike hopped in his truck and I hopped in.
Took off a half hour early to get out here and set up, Lee.
You know, and I stopped and got a burger on the way, and we're just
sorry, Rascal, I hadn't eaten yet.
In a rush and try to get all this set up so we can bring it to you, you know. And
but we love it. I mean, we're not complaining. We're gonna do it. We love it. But like I say, we need you guys to subscribe to the channel if you hadn't. That gives us a gauge of how much interest we have in the show. I mean, obviously, if you only got 4 or 5 people watching this every week, it's really kind of dumb to go to all the effort to do it. But if we can up that subscriber count and show some interest in the show,
that's right.
We'll be here in Cookeville doing this, right?
Exactly.
We're gonna be in Cookeville either way.
Right. We love it.
We love it. Yep. All right, Mike Mulder and Lee Teat. This has been Friday Main Event. We appreciate you guys. Again, next week, set the reminder, subscribe, set the reminder. We'll be coming to you 4:30 every Friday with our pregame show, coaches interviews for an hour, and then we'll be talking big games second hour.
Where are we going to be next week?
We are going to the Creek Bank, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Trousdale County. I'm coming for you, Davey Cawthorn. Coming for you, brother.
Better be there, Hollywood.
Give him that nature boy. Can you do it?
Woo!
There we go. Coming for you, Cawthorn. Creek Bank next Friday. Friday Main Event. You guys join in with us.